Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm from JennyCardDesigns. Thanks so much for stopping by to spend some time with me here today. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting, tutorials, and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. I've got a pretty cool project to share with you today. We'll start off with my template reference book. If you haven't seen this book before, this is a book that I've created full of templates for you to download to be able to create projects like A2 size, A7 size, Slimline, and so much more using the templates and measurements that I've worked out for you. You can find all of the information about my template book located in the description down below, as well as I'll link to a video on screen here that tells you more about it. Today I'm going to be making a policy style slimline envelope using some JennyCardDesigns red velvet cardstock, and I'll be using the same color cardstock for my envelope and card base. So let's start with the envelope. On the 8.5 inch side, we'll start scoring in my scoreboard at 2.5 inches and then 6.5 inches, and we'll rotate one turn to the left and score at 1.5 inches and 10.5 inches. Okay, then we're going to grab another piece of cardstock and we're going to score at 3.5 inches and then at 7 inches. Okay, and then we're just going to set this aside and we'll come back to this in a few minutes. I just wanted to do all of my scoring at once. Okay, so we'll set everything aside and now let's go back to the envelope again. And we're going to follow along with my Genvelope template reference. You'll notice the score marks here. We're going to cut out these little squares on all 4 sides of my cardstock, following along with the reference. Now, if you've watched any of my videos previously, you'll know that I like to combine steps 3 and 4, but you don't have to. I just like to do it for the purposes of speed. Because I've made so many of these at this point, I like to combine the angle cuts with the cutting off of the corners. So let's do that now. So you want to grab a nice pair of long scissors and we'll make our cuts as shown in the diagram, including the angled cuts. And then this is what your envelope should look like at this point. Okay, next we're going to crease all of the folds. I will use my bone folder and crease all of my score marks to make sure that we get good sharp creases. And then once that's done, we're going to pay attention to the flaps here. We've got a small flap and a larger flap, and we want the larger flap to go over top. Now, if you'll notice that I didn't have a perfect match up there, but that's okay. We'll just trim that off. Meets up nicely. We'll add some adhesive on the inside of the larger flap and just use my bone folder to press all that together, and then add some more adhesive on the bottom closure. Press that all in together nice and good. The next thing we want to do is punch a little finger notch so we've got a spot to grab a hold of our card. So I'll use my 5/8 inch circle punch and just punch a half a circle. Then I'll use my corner rounder and round the corners on this envelope. And that's it for the envelope. All right, let's move over to the card base that we scored earlier. So you're going to create an accordion style fold. So you want to fold the card one way and then fold it the opposite way. Now you'll notice that I do have a 1/2 inch sort of hangover on this piece of cardstock here, and we're just going to trim that off. So I've created a Z-fold slimline card, and we'll just trim off that little 1/2 inch, and we can save that strip for sentiments or whatever you'd like to do with it. Throw it out if you don't want it. Okay, so now we're going to cut up some layers for my card. So I need 3 panels of black and 3 panels of white. So for my black layer, I'm going to cut 3 pieces that measure 8 by 3. So I'm just going along cutting. I'll cut by 8 inches and then cut 3 inches 3 times. And then for the white piece of cardstock, I'll cut it down to 7 3/4 inches and then cut down to 2 3/4 inches. So we'll have a panel that will have 3 panels that measure 7 3/4 by 2 3/4. And everything will layer up nicely together. And you have a bunch of leftovers that you can use for stamping and your sentiments and things like that. So here we go. We've got 3 panels and 3 black matte layers, and we're going to be stamping on all of these white panels. So this is just a sort of a mock-up of how it's going to look. We'll have 3 panels all lined up on this card. This is going to be a beautiful, stunning card. A lot of work going into this one, and I think the extra pieces of cardstock is really worth it. Okay, so now that you kind of see what we've got here, I'm going to grab these beautiful Concord and Ninth inks. These are brand new, just released recently. I haven't really had a chance to use them other than stamping my swatches, and I think they're really, really great. I invested in the ink cubes and the re-inkers for these. So I'm going to use this Sweet Strawberry stamp set from Concord and Ninth along with the coordinating dies. And I'm just sort of going to flip through my ink swatches and sort of pick out what color I want for my strawberry. And for the greenery, for the top little leaf on my strawberry, I ended up choosing cranberry and parsley. And then I also chose buttercup. I had a few others there, but I don't end up using them. So I'm going to take the big strawberry from this stamp set, and I'm also going to take the little leaf, and I'm going to line those up on my scrap piece of cardstock. This piece is not my stamping panel. This is just a piece that I'm going to use for die cutting. So I'm just going to condition my stamp, and then I'm going to ink it up really good and press down nice and firm, giving a second for that ink to transfer to my paper. And I'll reposition my cardstock, and I'm going to stamp it one more time so that we get a nice even impression. Okay, and then I'm going to ink up the leaf and stamp it the same way. I'll condition my stamp and stamp it twice to make sure I get a nice solid impression. And then I'm just going to set that aside to dry for a minute. So now I'm going to take my stamping panels. I'm going to start with the strawberries. I've got 2 strawberries loaded up, and I started with the sorbet ink. And I stamped a couple of panels with the sorbet. I left the strawberries loaded up and I moved over to the other panels and stamped them. And then I stamped some of the strawberries with that cranberry, and I liked the way that looked better. So I went back and I stamped back over top of the first strawberries I had done to see what that would look like. And I liked that a lot better. So I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't going to get a weird color. So I was able to stamp back over top of the strawberries and turn them all into that cranberry red. And then I went in and stamped the little tops. And I did that freehand. I just used a little small acrylic block and I inked it up with that parsley ink and just stamped. I didn't double stamp those. I only stamped them once and it turned out just fine. So for one panel, I filled the whole thing all the way to the top with all different types of strawberries from that stamp set. And I just sort of stacked them on top of each other. And then I went in with this little tiny flower and I used the buttercup ink and I stamped the flower to fill in those gaps. I thought that was cute. Okay, so I stamped that buttercup yellow flower on all of my panels. So this panel only has 2 strawberries on the bottom, and this is going to be the greeting for the inside of our card. And I got that greeting from that Sweet Strawberry stamp set. And now for the greeting for the front of my card, I'm using the Dahlia Turnabout stamp set, and I grabbed the words "Hello Gorgeous," and I just laid those on my panel. This is the panel that's going to be for the front. I'm going to stamp that sentiment using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And I also used VersaFine for the inside sentiment as well. So I get my greetings picked up and I'm going to ink those up really good and I'll get them stamped. I think that looks really pretty. I think the black sentiments are going to tie in nicely to the little black matte layers on my panels. So now I'm going to take the dies for this big strawberry and the strawberry greenery. And I'm going to use some frog tape and tape my dies over top of my image and run that through my Gemini. I've got a Gemini Junior die cutting machine, so I'll do that. And now I've got all these pieces that I'm going to start putting together. So we'll start with adhering my panels to the black matte layers. I just got some double-sided adhesive. This is my favorite tape runner because it holds so much and I don't have to change it constantly. So I really like making sure that I have refills on hand for that tape runner. I'm going to line up all of my panels onto the black matte layer, and then I'm going to take a look at my card base and figure out which panel goes where. So the one that's full of strawberries, I'm going to put in the center. So this is just going to be like the visual. There's not going to be a spot to write or anything here. And then the Hello Gorgeous is going to go on the front, and then the last panel with the inside greeting that you're the sweetest pick of the patch. That's going to go on the inside. And so this is now almost complete. I got some foam squares and I'm going to pop up my strawberry and put that right on the front of my card. So we have this gigantic strawberry, super pretty. And that cranberry ink matches very nicely with the JennyCardDesigns red velvet cardstock. I did get the cardstock pack with this Concord and Ninth release. I got the pack of ink cubes and re-inkers and I just forgot about the cardstock. So maybe next time I'll use that with the coordinating inks. Okay, and that's it for the card. This card is now complete. So now we have a Z-fold or accordion style slimline card. So I decided that there was just a little bit too much red. So I'm going to grab some green cardstock and just create a little envelope liner. So I only add adhesive to the top of my liner so that when I open and close the envelope, it's not stuck on the inside and to create resistance for that envelope. So that's it. So I'll just fold that down, make sure that everything works nicely, slip my card into the envelope, fits beautifully, and that is it. This card is complete. This is a super fun, super extra card using some Concord products and some beautiful JennyCardDesigns heavyweight cardstock. Here's a close-up look at our finished card project. That's it for today's video. So thanks so much for stopping by and spending some of your time with me here today. I appreciate the support. Coming up on screen are a couple of videos I think you may enjoy, including some turnabout stamp tips for other Concord and 9th stamp sets that I've played with in the past. So have yourself a lovely day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!